EasyWebinar promises to be an easy-to-use webinar software with built-in automation and marketing features. But does it actually deliver on those promises? And is it worth the money? Well, let's find out. As you log into EasyWebinar, you have three immediate options to create a live webinar, an automated one, or go live immediately. I'm going to create a live webinar. So my webinar is going to be about cooking and teaching some essential cooking skills. And ultimately, I want to sell a cooking course. So this is my example webinar. I'm going to show all the EasyWebinar features using this example. Now, I can host my webinar as a one-time event or a recurring webinar series. And here I have multiple options as well. I can go with specific dates or selected days each week. I can go with Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I can add multiple webinars per day as well. So that's surprisingly flexible. But there is one unique feature about EasyWebinar that I haven't seen anywhere else, and that's you can translate your entire webinar funnel into over 100 different languages. And you can even translate the webinar event dates, which are represented differently in some languages. And this actually translates all the pages, all the titles, all the forms, the buttons, everything. That's pretty interesting. Now, for your webinar funnel, you can choose between 4 different templates that they have here. But to be honest, for me, the design on all of those look a little bit outdated. To customize your webinar registration page, you can add a title, a subtitle, an image or video, and some custom text, which is very formatable. Now, the problem here is that I can't actually preview how my customized titles and images would look like on the registration page. But there is a small preview button here, but it only gives me the text box preview. But that doesn't really help me. I want to see how it would look like for the attendee, but I can't unfortunately do that. I can customize the registration button text and the colors and add a logo to the header. But again, I cannot see how it would look like actually on the registration page. Now, as you would expect, you can add your presenter info on the registration page. And as you'd expect, you can add other presenters to your webinar as a co-host or just a guest. One thing I like about EasyWebinar is that you can add your custom questions to the registration page that you want to ask each attendee before they sign up. Now here I've added 2 custom questions, but the problem is that if I want to add more, then it actually takes me out of the webinar setup flow. So it would look something like this. It would take me to my profile page and to manage my custom questions page. Now you can set your custom questions as a free text answer or as a drop-down list of predefined answers. Now, after I've set my custom questions for the webinar, I'm actually a little bit lost. Where do I go next? How do I continue setting up my webinar? So this is definitely a downside. They broke up the flow. I have to go to live webinars and I have to choose my webinar event again that I was configuring, and I have to navigate to the custom questions fields. And here I can actually enable both questions and set some as required answers. Now, the thank you page is the page that the registrant sees after they've signed up for my webinar. The same theme occurs here. I can set my headlines, my subheadings, an image, but I can't actually see how the attendee would see it after they've signed up. And here's an interesting feature. After the attendees have signed up for my webinar, they can share it on Twitter or on Facebook. And if they do, I can reward them with a custom video or a document. This could be something very valuable and exclusive. Now, if you didn't like the webinar funnel design options and the customization options, then alternatively, actually, you can embed the registration form code on your own website and have your registrant sign up there. And you can customize the button and all the text a little bit here and have the code and embed it in your own website. Now, let's talk about the event page where your webinar will be actually happening. And here you can set up some engagement features. Offers is something you can launch at any time during your live webinar, and you can customize the content here. And you can also choose a call to action button. For example, they have some predefined different buttons for different call to actions. And you can also customize your own button right here. So I've customized my call to action button, and I can also have a countdown to add some scarcity into my offer. So this is going to be a countdown clock that's going to be ticking. And for the people who click the button, I can also tag them in different marketing softwares. As you'd expect, you can set up some polls that you can launch during your live webinar event. Now, the chat is something you'd expect. You can turn on the private chat if you want your attendees only talking to you and not with each other. I want it to be public, so I'm going to leave it off. For the theme customization, you can have a browser title for each event page, or actually each webinar funnel page as well. And you can add some custom CSS if you'd like. Maybe this is the way EasyWebinar says to you that, hey, if you don't like our design, here's a box where you can inject your own CSS and go ahead, write a better design. This is something EasyWebinar has done quite well, in my opinion. The webinar replay is actually a main event replica by default, which means all the polls, the offers, and even the chat will be mimicked as they happen during the live webinar event. Of course, you can set a custom replay video if you like, and set the expiration date on the webinar replay. Under event notifications, there are the webinar reminder emails. And quite frankly, this is one of the most disappointing aspects of EasyWebinar. By default, you only have switched on the welcome email and no further reminders that the webinar is going to be happening. Luckily, you can add some webinar reminder emails here, but the templates that you can choose from are very outdated and quite frankly, very ugly in my opinion. Now, even if you do find a semi-suitable template, the email editing is still extremely inconvenient. You have to use this small box to edit, and you can't even preview the entire email. So that's just really bad. Now, what I recommend you to do is just delete everything and write a plain text email. Now, I've written a very basic webinar reminder email using those email shortcodes up here. It looks simple, it looks more personal, and it doesn't appear like it's from the 90s. Now, you can also add some emails after the event. These would be your event follow-up emails. And the same templates occur here as well. And I recommend you do the same thing. Delete everything. It's horrible. Write your own plain text emails. Here I've scheduled my webinar follow-up email to send right after the webinar is finished. And it's just a very simple email. It contains only the webinar link and my call to action. And that's actually all you need. Now, if you still want some better design and some more advanced tagging and segmentation options, then you can choose to integrate with your own email autoresponder here. Now, under advanced options, you can customize your countdown page, but what I specifically like is that you can inject custom third-party code into each page. For example, Facebook tracking pixel to the registration page. So everyone who will be coming to your registration page, you can retarget them on Facebook and remind them to sign up. Now, I'm done with the webinar setup, and after I save and exit, I will have a window with all my webinar links that I can use. And I can access the links under event links. Now, right before I enter the live room, I will have this small compatibility check and I can choose my devices. So I've entered into the live webinar room. A couple of things to notice here is that automatically the webinar recording hasn't started. You have to start it manually here. You also have to switch on the webcam manually. The mic is actually switched on automatically. And an important thing to notice is that by default, the quality is set as standard quality. So you see it's a little bit pixelated and the quality is not that good actually. So make sure you always switch on the HD, which is actually not even HD, it's 720p. And you can immediately see the quality has improved. So let's fire up the slides. Under presentation options, I can choose share slides, and I've pre-uploaded my slides already, so I can just open the file. The slides launch as the main screen, and I can control the slides right above here. What I like about EasyWebinar here is that I can preview the next slide that I'm about to present. So that's pretty handy. Now, here's one thing I don't like. At any point during my live webinar, I might want to emphasize some point and show my webcam as the main screen and have my slides as a secondary screen. Unfortunately, if I double click, nothing happens. I can't drag this and I can't change my webcam as the main screen. The only thing I can do is choose this picture in picture, right? So I can make my webcam picture bigger and this window will always stay on top for me. But my attendees cannot see this. This is only for me. So that's kind of useless in my opinion. So I'm just going to close this. What if I want to show a video during my live webinar? I can go to presentation options, share video, but actually I can't share a YouTube video. I can only share MP4 files that I've hosted somewhere else. Now, one workaround for this is have your YouTube open in your different screen in full screen mode and share your screen and select the YouTube video and control it from your own different screen and just start playing.
So literally top and tail. And with eggplant, it's a delicious vegetable.
But as you can see, the quality suffers and the video playback is not smooth, far from it. During your live webinar, you might have a lot of chat going on. And it would be great if you could mark some chat messages as questions or have your moderator do that for you. But unfortunately, there is no way to mark those chat messages as questions. You can launch the polls that you set up beforehand. Just select the poll and publish. And you can also launch the offers as you set them up and broadcast. This will appear to all the attendees. Now let's see how the whole webinar funnel and the live experience would look like for the attendee. I'm now in the webinar room as an attendee, and this is how the attendee will see everything. If the host launches a poll, the attendee will see it something like this and can vote. As the host launches an offer, the attendee will see it something like that. And right below here is the countdown timer that the host set up before. Now, after attending the live event, as an attendee, I received the replay email. Let's see. As I'm attending the webinar replay, I can actually see the polls here as well, and I can actually vote on those polls even during the replay. And I also see the offers and also the countdown. So I can engage with this as well. Now, what I really like as an attendee is that I can also ask questions during the webinar replay. So when I ask a question, it gets sent to the host and they will reply to me with an email. Something like this. Hi, I'm back as the host. And there's a couple more things that I want to show you about automated webinars in EasyWebinar. So as your event video, you can add an external URL or choose one of your live webinar recordings from your previous sessions. Now there is something interesting under here. You can generate up to 300 simulated attendees into your automated webinar. These are all simulations. Now, to make your automated webinar come alive even more, you can add offers. They can be timed so they will start at a specific minute and end at a specific minute. And the call to action, you can customize that as well here. You can also engage your automated webinar attendees with some polls. Each one of your live and automated webinars have their analytics dashboard. On your webinar analytics dashboard, you got your basic engagement data and your chat log, which you can export. The webinar attendance data is not actually that great. For each attendee, you can know what percentage of the event did they watch and what percentage of the replay did they watch. But you can't know aggregated data about what were the peak times, when did people leave your webinar. All that stuff is missing here. Now, there's definitely some pros about EasyWebinar. For example, translating your entire webinar funnel into virtually any language, and the engagement features on the webinar replay, and the timed offers and polls on the automated webinar. Also, the simulated attendees, which is a unique feature. But there are certainly some downsides in regards to the design and the usability of EasyWebinar. But there are workarounds to those downsides actually. For example, the webinar funnel design looks pretty bad. A workaround for that is generating a webinar registration form and embedding it into your own website. The email templates are really outdated and look pretty horrible. A workaround for that is deleting the entire email template and writing your own plain text emails, which actually convert better. The second workaround is integrating with Infusionsoft or Drip or MailChimp or whatever you use and designing your webinar reminders from there. The third downside was that you can't really play your video during your live event. A workaround for that is playing the video from YouTube and sharing your screen. All in all, you should try it out for yourself. Check out the link below and get a free 14-day trial to EasyWebinar. Host a couple of webinars, try it out for yourself, and see if it fits your needs. Thanks for watching.